Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, where you meet me every Monday to Thursday to look at those top stories making headlines in Israel. And of course, we're always brought to you by Lay of the Land. And our community is steadily growing, so welcome to all the new people. And don't forget, if you like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. So let's take a look at the top stories. It is day 67 of Israel's war with Hamas. And we know that the IDF are advancing further and further into the south of the Gaza Strip, engaged in heavy fighting around Shuja'iyah, Jabalia, and Khan Yunis. Now, as the IDF advance, and we certainly saw it in northern Gaza, the IDF are uncovering more and more how weapons and terror paraphernalia are stored within the civilian infrastructure. The Nahal Brigade a short while ago uncovered RPGs, magazines, bulletproof vests, and a whole lot of paraphernalia inside a school. And you can actually see the UNRWA packaging. UNRWA, that's the United Nations Relief Works Agency, their packaging. And of course, UNRWA has been a big bone of contention throughout this war. In fact, for decades already, we have been speaking about how they allow for the incitement of hatred in their school textbooks, how they allow their hospitals, their schools to be used as munition storage facilities. We even had accounts on the horrific day of the 7th of October of UNRWA staff celebrating. Some have even been the subject of an investigation by UN Watch for actively inciting on their social media. So when the United Nations says that their staff are innocent, they are devastated, we have to ask the question, just how complicit are they? We've certainly seen UN branding across this whole war, be it some of the trucks that were used to infiltrate those southern communities on the 7th of October, or what we're seeing now in schools and hospitals. The IDF also uncovered how a mosque, now this is a holy site, a protected site, is also being used to launch attacks on Israeli soldiers, as well as private residences being used to store munitions and launch attacks. Now, the global community say that Israel must operate within within international laws, the laws of armed conflict, and that is exactly what the IDF is doing. According to the laws of armed conflict, if civilian infrastructure poses a significant military threat, now if you are a munition storage facility, if attacks on Israeli civilians, like launching rockets, which are still happening. We had a massive barrage towards Ashkelon just a short while ago, yesterday, again towards Ayam, in the center of Israel, the Shvela region. We had massive barrages of rockets. But if you are launching attacks against our civilians from within civilian infrastructure, if you are using civilian infrastructure as Hamas headquarters to store munitions, that becomes a legitimate military target. So this is why Hamas do it. They do it intentionally because they know that, and they bank on people being gullible and thinking, well, Israel must be the aggressor if they're coming after people's private homes and mosques and schools. According to our Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, over 500 Hamas terrorists have been arrested over the last month. They've been handed over to the Israeli Security Association, or the Shabak, as well as the IDF Unit 504 for interrogation, for questioning. And what is interesting is at least one Hamas terrorist is on camera saying, "We all hate Sinwar. He doesn't live in reality, and he has taken Gaza back some 200 years. So the defense minister says some very, very interesting information is being shared by those who have been taken into custody. Now, I know a lot of people around the world are dismayed that Israel is making these captives stripped down to their underwear. This is for one simple reason, and that is to ensure they are not wearing suicide vests. I always find it vaguely amusing and somewhat irritating when we have a lot of armchair generals around the world telling us how we should be acting, when we really are the only country facing what we can actually call Fallujah, Mosul, Raqqa, all in one of the most densely populated areas, most concentrated areas in the world. And our IDF, our generals, our war cabinet know exactly how to deal with the issue at hand, while still being in consultation with our major allies who have faced urban warfare before. There have also been a significant amount of exchanges of fire between IDF positions in the north of the country and Hezbollah. Yesterday, Hezbollah struck a house in Metula. They say this is in retaliation for an IDF shell that was fired towards southern Lebanon and that killed a Lebanese mayor. Now, of course, the IDF have said we do not intentionally target civilians. And just a short while ago, sirens were heard in northern Israel, in and around the Akko region. We've been speaking about the United Nations a lot during the last 2 months. I'm sure we'll be speaking about them a whole lot more. The General Assembly is due to gather in a short while to vote on the proposed humanitarian ceasefire resolution. Now, this resolution was vetoed over the weekend when it went to the Security Council by the United States. So let's see what happens today, although the resolution is non-binding. And as the Secretary of State of the United States, Antony Blinken said, it is not for us to tell Israel what to do. Israel will handle Hamas the way they see fit. And President Biden last night saying we will give Israel everything that Israel needs until Hamas is roundly defeated. Last week, we also spoke quite a bit about the congressional hearings on anti-Semitism on U.S. campuses, particularly at UPenn, that's the University of Pennsylvania, MIT, and Harvard. Well, Liz McGill, the president of UPenn, has resigned, although she still keeps her tenureship at the law school. And there have been an increased amount of demands for Claudine Gay, she is the president of Harvard, to resign as well, despite the fact that 500 faculty members have signed a petition giving her support. We have been speaking for decades now about how university campuses, not just in the USA but around the world, are rotten with anti-Semitism, and we are now seeing the major sponsors, major contributors starting to pull their funding, and the presidents and leadership of these universities being held to account. And finally, Israel's Foreign Minister Eli Cohen has visited Argentina with some of the families of those who are still being held hostage. We cannot forget, must not forget, that 137 Israelis, including 10 men over the age of 70, are still being held hostage by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. We want their release now. We demand that they are brought home now. The circumstances that they must be in are absolutely horrific, and we call on the international community to demand the immediate release of the Israeli hostages that are still being held captive by Hamas terrorists. The foreign minister met with President-elect Milei, who is Jewish himself, who said he absolutely supports and stands by Israel's right to defend herself. And that brings me to the end of today's edition of the Israel Brief. You guys know what to do. Check out our website at www.layoftheland.online, our Facebook page at Lottel's site. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. You guys know exactly what to do. Click on that red subscribe button, and we're on X at Lay of the Land 5. I'm Rolene Marks. Guys, take care of yourselves. It has been a lot these last 2 months, and each other. And I'll see you again tomorrow.